Hey guys, welcome to the stream, and today we are going to fix our compass issue. Now I'm going to show you what it is first and then explain what we need to do to fix it, hopefully. Now as you can see, we're not getting an error yet, but if we hit escape you'll notice we've got a lot of errors. Now, the reason for that is because in our pawn, we're going to be moving back to our crafting table in a minute once we've fixed this issue. Now, what we want to do is go to our input, right, and what we're going to do is we're going to say is valid. Okay. So that is going to go there. And that should solve our problems. So let's press play again. And if we hit escape, no errors. Okay. Our next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into our crafting table, and in fact we're going to go into our crafting widget, and with our crafting widget and our exit button we're going to basically get out of there, right, just so we can continue on but not necessarily so we're doing a remove from parent, and we are going to do that. Oopsie. Gonna get player controller. How are you guys out there in YouTube land today? What are you guys working on? Right. So now that we've done that, we can worry about our actual thing here. So we've got the code that allows us to actually activate our crafting system. Okay, and now we have the button that's going to get us out of there. Okay, so now we actually need to do something with this. Okay, and with that in mind, we're going to do our crafting item. Okay. We're sizing that. We're not going to have this quantity. Right. This is actually going to change to probably item name. Right, but it's probably going to change. Right, so we'll just put we're going to do item name. Then we're going to set text, and it's going to be this. Now I think we're going to actually be changing this slightly. Right, but we'll just do this for now. So that we know that it's working the way we want it to. Right. Really big deer meat. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually create the tooltip, right, of our inventory, right, and then we shall amend it. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate that. We're going to say craft item tooltip, right, and then we're going to move it into our crafting folder. Okay, and we are going to change a couple of things here. And we'll do that just as a difference, okay? And we're obviously going to do a description and stuff. But interesting thing here is we're getting it from item data, right? And we can't really use that per se. So we're going to need to do something a little bit different. Okay? But we kind of have our first inkling of what we need here. Okay? But we don't have this item data, so we're going to have to try and get this item data from somewhere. Now, at the moment, I don't think we can, because it doesn't exist in one particular place. So, we are going to have to hunt for it. And we are going to have to do a similar thing. Wait a minute, do we? Do we really? All we need is the name. Do we need the weight? Not necessarily. We can build something out of this, right? But I think the way we'll go about this is we'll actually build it so that we actually create the thing, okay? So that's the way we'll go round about this. What we'll do is we'll create the thing, and that's going to give us the answer to how we create the tooltip, okay? So we're actually going to need another variable here, right? And it's going to be dt interactable main underscore number. Okay, and it's going to be instance editable expose on spawn. Okay. Now, oh yeah, that's going to be name. And so when we click on this, we know what item we are actually going to construct. Okay, so now in our crafting main, we need to go to our fill crafting grid. Okay. And this is going to have to get refreshed, as well as that one. And we need to compile that. Then we need to go back to our main widget, and this needs to be refreshed again, right, because I didn't compile that. So we've got, you'll see that we've got a row number, okay, but what we can actually do here is just use this one. Okay. And that. And my dog's not happy at someone outside. Right. So we can compile that. And now we know what we're actually going to build when we click our craft an item button. Okay? So to prove the point, I'm going to do a print string here to make sure that we're okay so far, which we are, but you know, you like to see results. I wouldn't say depressed, I would say you get fatigued by it, right? You get, well, as I said, I wouldn't say depressed, I would say you get kind of pissed off of it. But one of the reasons I do the stream is because then I have to do it, right? I enjoy streaming for you guys, I enjoy answering questions that you guys have. So that keeps it interesting, right? Plus the fact that it keeps me doing it, right? I mean, probably it would get more so for more beginner people, because when you're learning, what happens is you kind of get stuck and then you won't really know how to continue. But I'm kind of at the point now where I can pretty much do most things, so it's more a case of, for me, it's just building stuff and making it work, right? And as I said, I don't have a problem with that, right? Because I've been using Unreal Engine enough that I very rarely get completely stuck. So I don't really get that. I don't really have that type of problem, really. If that answers your question in a really long-winded way. Yes, I do get peed off with it sometimes, but as I said, then you guys will come in and ask me a question and then everything's okay. It takes my mind off of the fact that I'm working. Like, there's a lot of things can get you down about this. Like, if you consider both, right? As I said, I didn't know if we were going to have a crafting system, but I wanted to do something different starting yesterday. So I thought, right, what'll I do? What's a topic that most people like learning about? And one of them is like crafting. Like, crafting's one, an inventory's one, a hotbar's one. So, and they're not simple topics, right? But for me, it's straightforward, just building the damn thing. You know, I know all the things that I need to be able to do it, so it's just a matter of doing it. Hey Stormrun, how you doing? Did you get your flipbook working? Was that the answer to the question the other day? Yeah, so as I said, right, when I do this, a lot of people, you know, well, not a lot of people, but one or two people have said, you know, oh, you don't actually progress that much on a stream. Well, that's not really why I do it on a stream, right? The stream part is the part that you guys see, right? And I'm talking to you guys, I'm taking my time, I'm just, you know, and I'm making progress, right? It doesn't matter how fast or slow it is. If I stream twice a day for 2 hours, then I'm guaranteed 4 hours progress, right? Well, most of the time. Sometimes you can go backwards, but you get the point. So at the end of the day, if you do this for a month, you're going to have a month's progress, right? No matter what game you're working on. I've been writing out pages of blueprints on paper so I can figure out my problem. What's the problem? Describe the problem. Right, so now, as we go here, we've got our thing, and if we click on it, right, we get our thing, we get our text, right, which proves that we know that we're going to make object 15 and it's really big deer meat, okay? So this is what I try to say to people as well, especially ones that are kind of new to programming, is break your things down to little problems, right? Like, click the button, okay, click the button, right? Print out the name and the number that I'm needing, right? And then the next part is return all the stuff from that thing, then basically remove it from the inventory. As I said, in the way you would break up, you know, making a cup of coffee, right? Go get the cup, go get the milk, pour the milk into the cup, right? Just break it down into its different parts. And I do the same thing, right? But just think of it in that way. You know, just make little steps and then just basically join them all together. Yeah, Storm didn't really describe the problem. So that's what I'm doing here, right? Is basically I'm breaking it down. So the next part would be get probably data table. Well, it's actually going to be get data table row, right? Now you'll find out little things here, right? If I type in like data table, I know that the single one is always at the bottom, right? If I already know the row. It's a Pokemon game. When I walk in the grass, it rolls stats and encounter. Then changes the level. But the Pokemon doesn't spawn. Right, do you want me to do what you're trying to do? Right, let's help out Storm. Right? So we'll take a little detour for 5 minutes. Okay, here's how I would go about this, Storm. Right? What I would do is either in the pawn, in the game mode, I would... Yeah, it's simple, yeah. It's absolutely simple. Right. So here's what I would do. This is my game mode, right? So I would go in the game mode. The reason I'm doing it in the game mode, there's a couple of ways you could do this, right? You could do it in the game mode, you could create a blueprint, you could do it in the pawn, you could do it in the level, although I wouldn't recommend that's the way you do it. You can do it various ways, right? But we'll just do it in the game mode for a laugh. No, actually we won't. I'm not going to confuse you with that, right? What I'll do is I'll create a blueprint, right? Right, it's just going to be an actor, and we'll say BP Pokespawn, right? Get our code, right? Now, question is it a random spawn? Is it a, what is it? Like, you check every minute? Okay, we'll do it a certain way to give you an idea, right? So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to create a custom event, right? And we're going to call it random spawn. Right. Now, just as an example here, what we're going to do is we're going to run it every 5 seconds, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say timer by function name, okay? And it's going to be random spawn. Now you can set this up whichever way you like. So I'm going to put that in the function name here, right? So we're going to run this. Right, that's fine. We'll add in a bit of randomness to this, don't worry. So it'll give you an idea how to do it, right? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to run this every 5 seconds, right? And then we're going to set it to loop. So basically what's going to happen is, as long as I drop this blueprint into our world, right, it's going to start, and it's going to start doing this every 5 seconds, right? So say I pick float in range, okay? So I'm going to do random float in range. This is just to keep it simple, right? We're going to do from 0 to 100. Okay, now you could do this by area. So like if there's an area where there's more likelihood that they would spawn, then you could put that value, well, in a minute, right? So we're going to say give us a random number between 1 and 100. Right, we could add a variable in here and say chance to spawn, right, and that's going to be a float, okay? We could set this to instance editable if we wanted, right, or we can set it however way we want, right? I'll make it instance editable. So then we say, if that is less than or equal to our chance to spawn, right? Right, now by default, we'll compile this, right? And then we'll say there's a 40% chance we spawn, okay? So then we branch, and it's all as simple as this, right? So if it's true, we spawn actor from class, right? In our case, we're just going to spawn a parasite monster. Right, now we need to give it a transform. We do that and see if it's true. Right, but just for argument's sake, okay, we'll say we'll spawn it here. Okay, so I'll just basically pick the numbers from here. Right. Hi, Aladius. So, what we're going to do is we're going to split that struct, and we can't really paste that, but we'll just type the numbers in anyway. So minus 1426. You can decide for yourself where you want it to spawn, right? Minus 2306 and 421. Right, we'll leave the rest of it as it is. Then we'll move our target out of the way, right? We'll move our monsters away a bit, right? So that you see this one actually spawning. Okay? So it should spawn basically right in front of us. Now the thing we've got to do here is we've got to drag this in here. Now it doesn't matter where we put it, and it's going to be invisible anyway, right? But now if we press play, right, just keep an eye right in front of us. So it's going to run that every 5 seconds. It's going to get a float, right? And depending, I'm going to say 433 on that, right? For a good reason. Right, but what we want to see is this here. Add a breakpoint. You can't spawn it in another map. The level has to be open. So I don't know what you're trying to do there. Right, so there we go. Right. Press resume, and there's our monster that we just spawned. Okay. It's done it again. Right, now, in this case, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to try to adjust location, okay? So it'll try to spawn it as close as it can. So what we should see now is basically monsters spawning everywhere, round about that. Okay. So you'll notice that it doesn't always spawn, right? There's the first one, right? You can see that it's not doing it because basically it's failing the check for the random roll. Blueprints don't travel. Blueprints don't save over levels. If you're gonna, the only thing that stays persistent between levels, right, is a game instance. Right? But I probably wouldn't do it that way anyway, right? I would do it all in one level, right? All you need to do is basically have a secondary level underneath. Yeah, but have your main level above. Okay, let me explain something. Right. So there's your random spawner, okay? That's basically it. Right, you can make it as complicated or uncomplicated as you want, but that's basically it, right? But look, if I go under the ground, there's nothing here. Right? If I create, okay, let me explain this to you in an easier, more sort of obvious way, right? I'll delete this for now. And I'll explain how I did this, right? If I go up to here, right, and I pick up the log, yeah, that's what you want to do, Storm. Right? Now, here's the interesting thing. If I go to the inventory, okay, and I click on this, I've got a real-time view of the log. Well, how did I do that? Well, all I did was spawn it in. Right? As a... I can't remember what it's called now. It's an inspection. Right? There's there. BP inspection. Right? Now, if I click on that, look at it. It's at minus 10,000. So all I do is actually spawn a camera and the item into the scene. But where nobody can see it. And then all I do is have a camera looking at this item. Then I spawn the item in. Right? So it's way, way, way under the ground. Right? So the player's never going to see it. But I can take that view, right, as a render and put it here. And because there's nothing around it, I don't see anything in the background, right? So you can see that I can move this about. So that's just rotating the object here, right? There is a way you could do it, but it's much more complicated than just doing what I've just shown you, right? If you create the sub-level underneath, right, and just do that, then there's no need to do all the other stuff. All you need to do is have a switch, right? All you need to do is have a switch that says everything above ground stop moving, right? Basically stop doing anything. Then move your camera down to your new position, right? Cybershell, you'd have to explain that a bit more. Is there something like a data table that can be updated by the game in case I wanted to switch to a new level? Yes, there's game save objects. Right? There's game save objects, but the only thing, right, that is persistent in the game, right, without any saving or stuff, the only thing that's passed across between levels is the game instance. Okay? You don't want to put stuff in your level blueprint if possible, right? Right? But hopefully that's giving you some ideas, right? Now, the game instance is where you save stuff that you actually need to pass across. There's a save game object and there's a game instance object. The game instance object is the thing that is persistent, right? So basically this is mine here, right? So I save audio settings, current slot names, etc. So this allows me to basically, when you're in the main menu, you can update the audio settings, and then the audio settings are persistent. I also save them, but I just set these up because you always go to the menu first, right? So basically, if you load them up at that point, then you can just add them to your game instance and it will pass across. So the likes of your Steam achievement stuff and all of that is what you put in your game instance, right? But as I said, anything that you wanted to pass across, you would save in the game instance, right? So hopefully that makes a bit of sense, right? Now, first thing is, Cybershell, I kind of don't understand what your issue is. Is there something like a data table? You can't update data tables in blueprints, okay? Data tables are static data, okay? Now, if you were going to save some stuff, you'd want to save it in the game save object, right? If you only wanted to temporarily pass it across, then you'd save it. You wouldn't save it. You'd just add it to your game instance and use that, right? It just depends on the situation. Yes. It's save game to slot. Right? So you basically save game to slot. Then you've got a save game object that you'll have updated. Right? And you just pass it in here and then give it the slot name. In this case, I'm using EMS, which does a lot of the saving anyway. Right? But it's done the same way. My previous game, it was all done with save slots. The only problem is that basically, by default, Unreal Engine only has one save slot, right? So fundamentally what you've got to do is that one save slot has got to have the names of all your save slots, right? No, the way I do it is I have a slot, right? Let's call it Pokemon save, okay? Now, the problem is that obviously that's only one save game, okay? The slot is basically the name of the save, okay? So, you've got a problem right away there, okay? And that is that you've only got one save, so you can't save again, or you're going to overwrite the save. So the way I get round about that is I basically make the save slot, the base save slot, store only names of saves. Okay? So, let me show you. Let me show you what I've got, right? So you'll see here, we've got save slot, right? These are game saves. And you'll notice that I've got struct save slot, right? And it's got slot name and is current game, okay? Right? So, is current game is basically, right, here's how it goes, right? Say I create a new game, right? That becomes the current game. Okay? So basically what I do it doesn't matter what you call it, right? It doesn't matter what you call it, your base one. But what I do here is I save the name of the slot, right, that I'm going to use. Okay? And then I basically say, is it the current game? Okay? Now, when I create a new slot, or if I create a new game, I create a new slot name for that game. So say it's game 1, okay? And then what I do is update the current game to the one that we've just created, and basically switch all other ones off. Okay, so let me show you. Right, if I go to the main menu, right? I'll show you it in action. It might explain it better. Okay, so if I say new game, okay, I enter a name for my new game, okay? So let's call it Stormy, okay? And I say create, right? And that creates that slot. And we're now using that name as our save slot. So like encounter slot or slot 101, but in our case the slot is called Stormy, okay? So now if I look in, let's go to here, if I go to saved, okay, and I go to saved games, you'll notice there's no Stormy, right? That's because well, number one, we haven't saved it yet. But you'll notice here that we've got a save game and a save slot. Okay? Our save slots only save the names of the slots. Okay? But you'll notice, I think I can save this here if I press 8. Right, so I've pressed 8. And now, you'll notice, I've got a save game called Stormy. Right? Now, if I run this again now, and I say manage data, there's my one slot, right? And I can delete it and stuff, right? So you're using your base slot, right? You don't know what the slots are going to be called, right? Unless you do it that way, right? Now you can do it that way, okay? But if you want the player to name the slots, then you're never going to know what the slots are called unless you actually save the names, right? So for me, I just name it save slots, right? And then when a player starts a new game, we're going to use that name to save it in the slot, right? So, for example, right, we've got Stormy there, right? Now, if I go new game and call Cyber and create it, okay? Then we save it. Right, I've saved it. And now, notice, we've got Stormy and Cyber. Right? But this is the actual save object that saves the slots. Okay? Now you can actually just hard code it and say you're going to have 3 slots, slot 1, slot 2 and slot 3, right? I prefer to give the player as much sort of freedom to do what they want. So I just create the save as the names of the save slots. And then when you save the game to a slot, you use the name that is the current slot, right? So, you'll notice before what I was saying, okay, that in the game instance, I have the current slot name, right? So that gets passed across. So if you move into your map, right, and you've picked Cyber, I know that I'm going to load from Cyber, and I know that I'm going to save to Cyber, okay? So I'm only going to use that save slot name, right, that I've created. And then it's in the instance because it's persistent across levels, okay? And I also do the audio settings because basically it's done, all the adjustments, etc. are done in the main menu, and then I can just pass them across in the game instance, right? I could do the same with Steam, with the Steam achievements, right? You can do it with anything, right? Anything that's in here, the game instance is persistent across levels, okay? And it's the only thing that's persistent across levels. Everything else you need to load it in from a save slot, right? But obviously you don't want to do that because you don't want to save your whole game in the game instance, right? But that's basically how I work it, and I know that a lot of people do it this way because basically it makes the most sense, right? I'm sure you can do it. There's a lot. What you gotta watch is there's a lot of like for animations and that, like hi throwaway, where am I? I've got no idea, mate. You'll have to answer that question yourself. Where are you? I'm going to take it you're at home, sitting in front of a computer, right? Which at this point is a good chance you can stop music, by the way, right? But it's time for me to go and grab a cigarette, okay? So, any more questions about what I've been talking about, throw them in the chat. If you're enjoying it, hit like and subscribe. Also, check out the description for links to my Discord, the games Discord, Patreon, and my previous game on Steam. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Well, it's actually going to be closer to 4.5, but I'll be right back, guys. Okay, folks, we're back. Right, you know how they made that is that a record? 30 people viewing right now. I don't know, I think it was 50 earlier. Don't know what happened. It's pretty weird anyway, right? I don't know if any of you have got YouTube channels and you're at the same stage as me, or you've passed it or whatever. I do, by the way, have a look at everybody when they subscribe to see if they've got anything worth watching on their channels. So I know that most people that watch me don't have many subscribers, and most of them don't actually make any videos either, right? But I wonder if you can make 1,000 PCs with different YouTube's account and one game for viewers. Yeah, you can do that, but there's not really much point. Generic NPC. How's progress on the game? I don't know. Well, there's a lot of progress, but there's a lot of stuff that it won't actually look like anything, even though it's doing stuff. Right? For example, the arrow cam now only triggers if you hit wildlife and if there's no monsters that you can see, and then the monsters spawn under certain conditions as well, and despawn under certain conditions. So yeah, there's that. I'll tell you what I could do. Are we going to end up with the dreaded shader issue again? Let's have a look and find out, shall we? What I'm going to do is, I know the starting one is this one, right? So I can load this in. Right, the strange thing about YouTube, right, is the aim is to get monetized, right? That's your first aim. So to get monetized, you need 1,000 subscribers, right? And 4,000 hours of viewing, right? Now the crazy thing is that those hours don't count if it's live, right? So you guys watching right now won't make any difference to my viewing hours, okay? Even if you watch the whole stream for 2 hours, right? If 100 people were watching me right now and they all viewed for 2 hours, right, I wouldn't get 200 hours towards the 4,000. I would get 0, right? It's only after the fact, okay? So in the first instance, what you want is nobody to watch you live, but to subscribe and watch your other videos, right? Now obviously I'm saying that's what you want. That's not what you want. You want people to watch and interact with you, etc, etc, right? But from a purely numbers point of view, all you want is people to hit the subscribe button and watch your old videos, right? Now the crazy thing is, as soon as you get 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours, you want the exact opposite. You don't want anybody. You're not bothered about people watching you live, right? All you're worried about is views, right? Or sorry, you're not worried about people subscribing or what, well, you're interested in their views, right? Because basically now it's all about the ads, right? Now, I don't know how many ads get shown on this at the moment, right? I have no idea, right? But as I said, it all flips on its head as soon as you're monetized, right? So as I said, at the moment, 1,000 PCs on different YouTube accounts doesn't make any difference to me at all, right? The only difference it makes is if they subscribe, right? And if those 1,000 PCs were set to watch playlists of my old videos, that's the only way it would make any difference, right? But that's neither here nor there. Right, so I'll show you the intro to the game again. Most of these, there's 20 viewers in, so a lot of people won't have seen this. May do its old compiler stuff. This is a general view of what is going to happen here, and I don't think this is actually going to work. Right, I'm going to stop it because I don't think it's going to work, because this self-discussion thing is probably set up wrong again. No, that's right. Oh well. Yeah, that should work. Oh, got the old shader compiling again. Yep. But this will give you guys an idea how the game starts. Okay. So you'll notice that she can't move yet, but we get her. Right, so you get the little intro. But you're not given control yet. But we wanted to keep this right, and then everything pops up. And we can start. Okay. But there we go. That's how it starts. We can see the world there. Etc, etc. And we're going to go back to our test map, right? Because I've completely lost my train of thought now. Oh yeah, we were crafting, weren't we? Right, so we're working on crafting. Okay. And basically we've got to use our crafting table, and we can build our meat. Why is that not? Did I? delete that or something. Right, so we're going to close this. So has anybody got any more questions about that stuff? Right, so in our crafting item, right? Did I remove that code? Must have done that. Oh well, never mind. So the first thing we're going to do is, we've got this item here, right? And on the button, on hovered, and unhovered, okay. And we shall create another variable and we shall call it tooltip. Okay, and it's going to be of the type W crafting tooltip. Okay, and if we hover, we're going to create widget, right? And it's going to be W crafting tooltip. Right, now we're not going to pass in this item data, but we might end up trying to do something with it, so we're going to leave that for now. We're going to set that, right, and then we're going to add to viewport. Okay, then we're going to grab this, we're going to say remove from parent, and then we're going to duplicate that, and then we're going to set it to nothing. Okay, so this isn't going to work, but we'll see our tooltip, right? Okay, good start, kinda. Now, the next thing we need to do drag this back, tidy it up a bit, is when we click this button, we need to build this thing. Okay, so the thing about it is, we need to do this, right? But we're not going to do it in here in particular, right? We might be doing it here. Okay. Now, the interesting thing here is that a lot of the stuff that we need for this is actually in here, but not all of it is in here. Okay. Now, let's take this a step further. What we need to do is we need to get our base details, okay? So we need to basically say data table row. Remember I was saying it's always at the bottom? Okay. And this should be an interactable items main. That's going to give us our basic information, okay, that we're going to then turn into an inventory item. Okay, now we might need a couple of tables and we might need a switch on this, right, to pick out some of this item struct. But we're going to move this up out the way. Right, so the first thing we're going to do is do that, and then what we can do is that, right, we know the item type, we're going to get the weight, and the image, and the mesh. Right, now we don't know what the item struct is at this particular point in time, right, but we do know that that is probably going to be 1. Okay, now this number is going to go in here, and it's also going to go in there. Now remember guys, at this point all we want to do is get 1 item, okay, and get it so that we can actually add that item to our inventory. Now if we do that, we're about 80% there, because we already know we've got code that removes stuff, and I believe we also have, right, let's try this. Inventory. Right, let's see what we've got. We've got remove item from inventory, is item in inventory, but that's it, right? So what we really need is an add item to inventory. Okay, now we know that we already do this, okay, and it's on pickup. Okay, so all we really need to do is, for example, go to our interactable items, right, and then like food, for example, add item to inventory. Okay, so we need to add right. Let's go back. It's class settings, what am I talking about? We need to add I believe we need to add interactable. Right? And now apparently not. Okay. So there's the food, right? And it's in BP interactable item. Okay. So basically we add this. So you go control copy, right? We go back to our crafting item. We go to our class settings. We take that off. Okay. Then we add a function, and we can say add crafted item to inventory. Okay. And we paste it. Okay. Oops, a daisy. And this is going to have an input, and the input is going to be an item, but we can tell exactly what it is. It's a struct inventory item, right? Struct inventory item. Okay, and that is going to go there. Now, as you can see here, we need a reference to our inventory. Right, and we're going to need to add these local variables as well, but we'll worry about that in a second. Okay, so we're going to go back to our event graph, right? And we're going to do, if you guys have watched me for any amount of time at all, you'll have seen me doing this quite a lot. We're going to say ref char. Okay. And then on our event construct, we're going to get ref char. Right, and ref char is actually going to be Groenland pawn. Okay. Oh, I think that's a world record. We've got 13 likes. I think that's the best ever. Right. We're going to grab this. We're going to set it. We're going to get player pawn. And we're going to cast it to our pawn. Okay. That's going to go there. We're going to save that. Then we're going to go back to here. Then we're going to say ref char. Get that. That's going to go there. Then in here. We're going to add a local variable called item exists, and that's going to be a bool. And that. Okay, whatever. We're going to delete that. That's going to be ref char. Can we just refresh this? Apparently not. Let's just do that again, like that. Delete that. Duplicate that. Plug it in there. Delete that. Drag that into there. Compile that. There we go. Right. So, now that we've done that, we just need to create our item, I suppose. So, back to here. And we'll do that. We'll do that. And we'll try it, I suppose. So what we're going to do first, we're going to do a save all. Okay. Right. Next thing we're going to do is test it and see how far we get. Right, so just as a point of reference, we have nothing in our inventory. And we actually need to pick these up. Right. Right. And inventory. Look at that. Really big deer meat. So we successfully crafted. Okay, there's still a little bit of work to go, but we're getting there, folks. Right. So our next port of call right. We're gonna get everything. We're gonna get the basics working first, right, and then we'll worry about the intricacies of other things, right? So we know that we need to remove stuff from inventory, right? And then remove item from inventory. Okay. Well, this is going to be easy enough. All we need to do now is get data table row. Right, that's going to go there. And this is going to be recipes. Right, we know it's going to be that one, but if we want to do it properly, which we do, right, this is going to go to here. Right. And in fact what we'll do is we'll do that. We'll do that. We'll do that. Then we'll drag that down there, keep it a bit tidier. That's better. Now, we're not going to do that, because what we need to actually do is do that. Remember, this is the thing that we're actually doing. So we need this. So we do for each on this. This is each of the ingredients required. Okay. So we'll keep moving this out. We're going to break this. And then for each of these, we're going to basically plug that in there. Then that in there. Then we're going to get good old ref char. And good old ref char is going to go in there. Okay. Then we're going to do that. and that. Okay. That's fine. Now, we're going to do something with this later, okay? But we can do that in a minute. Once we've got this removing stuff for our inventory, okay? So now, if we press play, right, we pick up our 2 plates. Okay, so basically, if we go to our inventory, we've got our 2 deer meats, okay? But we're going to craft a really big deer meat. So if we click that, we should have created the 2 deer meats. Now obviously we're going to have to refresh this, right? But what we're going to do, well, that didn't work. And I think it's because that button's not quite right. I should really put a print string or something in there, so that I know that I've made it. Now you can see there now that we've done it. Okay, but it should have removed this. Okay. So we really need a breakpoint here. We need a stop. Okay. Right. So we take that, we take that, we go over here, right, now whatever that's doing, it's not doing what we want, right? Which is weird. Right, this is button item. And a breakpoint. Press play. Right, hang on a second. Hang on a second here. This is the thing that checks. No, it's not. That's a full crafting grid. This is the thing that checks. Right? So basically the code should come from here, and basically, so we're going to copy this and it should go here. Now we can always turn this into Okay. Right, so a couple of things we need to do here. We've moved this, if we're going to have it all in the parent, right, that's absolutely fine. But we need to do a couple of things if we're going to do that, right? So first thing is we're going to say parent, right, just so that we make sure that we've got, and that's going to be W crafting main, okay, and that's going to be expose on spawn. So we're going to save that, and then in here when we're filling this, right, we'll move this down a bit because we're going to have to refresh these nodes. Okay, then we're going to get a reference to self. That's going to go there and there, and we'll stick that in the middle somewhere. Okay, then in our event grid we're going to do custom event, and we're going to say craft item, and we're going to have an input and item number, that's going to be a name, and that is going to be going in here. Okay, so we'll drag this into line to tidy it up a bit. Okay, we'll save that for now. Then we're going to go into our crafting, right? We're going to drag this out a bit. We're going to get our parent, and we're going to say craft item. So we called it craft item. Okay, and then we're going to do that. It's going to go in there. It's going to go to there. Right? And we're going to do that and copy it. Right? And it's going to go in here. Okay. Tidy this up in a minute. That's if you can't craft it. So we'll move that out the way for now. Right. And then we're going to say add crafted item to inventory. We're going to save that. Right. Then we're going to check this out, and it's got a struct inventory item in it. So we basically say item, and we say struct inventory item. Okay, compile that, go back to here, we're going to grab this, copy this. Now, do we have refchar in here? Yeah, we do. Right, so paste that. We're going to remove it from the other thing. Okay. Yeah, we need that item exists thing. Right, so we click on here. And we say item exists. Compile that. That's still going to error, but we can replace it with item exists. And we didn't actually use it. But anyway, whatever. Right, so in here now, we've got this function that we can call. Okay. And this can go here. Oops, daisy. That goes there. Join that up to there. As it says, we can change this into a function or whatever we want when we're completed it. But we obviously want some kind of effects as well on this. You know, we want a timer or something for the amount of time it takes to craft it or something. So this isn't going to be quite complete yet, but okay. That is going to go, oops. That is going to go to there. Which is also going to go to there. Save that. And now we've got the last part. Which is this part here. So we copy that. We go back to our crafting main. goes to there. That goes to there. Okay. And in theory now, this should all work absolutely perfectly. Famous last words, huh? Right, so now what we can do is we can go back to our crafting item. We can basically delete this. We can save that. Then we can basically delete that. Save that. And that's going to be us. So the next thing we need to do is test it. So we take that, then we craft this. We have our button. We resume. We exit. We don't worry about that so much. Right. We go inventory. And that's not so good. Right, so we're going to have a look at that. But we've got it working to a degree. Notice that it only made one, right? But we need to fix it. So, guys, if you have enjoyed the content, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps out a lot. Check out the description for links to the Discord for the game and also my personal Discord, which is a separate server. Also my Patreon and my previous game on Steam, which is available for $1. Thank you guys for watching. I'll be back at 8 PM tonight, basically in 4 hours time. And I hope to see you guys there. So bye bye for now.